How you guys doing? Thought I'd bring you guys a very different presentation here, rather than what I normally do with my Facebook Lives discussing the Cowboys games and my perspective and my point of view. I'd rather I kind of give a summation in a quick fashion, giving you guys here thoughts of grandeur or even opinions and things I just want to shoot at you guys. If you pay attention to what's going on in the games and what they say during the press conferences and stuff like that. If you're like me, I'm more so, I take a big, broad perspective look at things, where everybody kind of looks at minute details. They step inside the issue and diagnose one play over another one. I just look at the big picture and I always try to deal with the psyche of the situation. And so the Cowboys coming off of a week 5 defeat of, in my opinion, very, very disappointing performance against the Green Bay Packers, a team that in times past has given the Cowboys problems. They played them in 2017 in the regular season, lost. They lost to them in the playoff game, the division round at home, lost. And then they played them in the division round of 2014, lost by what the NFL now deems as a catch, but at the time they called it a non-catch. Everybody knows what it was. And so the main culprit, the main character in all this is one man, Aaron Rodgers, who everyone knows is, as Stephen A. calls him, a bad man. And honestly, in this game, he looked anything like, the typical bad man. I mean, he took sacks. He wasn't as super heroic as he normally is. And he only even amassed over 200 yards passing, 250 yards passing, and no touchdowns, no interceptions. And what really blew my mind is the fact that the Cowboys felt this offseason that it wasn't to alleviate themselves or counter the loss of Cole Beasley. They went and grabbed Randall Cobb, which was a known weapon in Green Bay's arsenal for years and years. And in this game, he was somewhat a non-factor. I say somewhat because he did have a nice catch in a couple of moments in the game, but at the same time, the usage for him has been, since game 1 against the Giants, we caught that slot touchdown down the seam, has been non-existent, and even had that big catch for third down conversion against the Giants. It's just been frustrating watching him out there, and I'm not blaming him or anything like that. It's just the Cowboys as a whole, offensively, from week to week, aren't clicking like they used to. And my guess is it starts with the head coach. I can blame Kellen Moore, but he's new. I'm not going to go off on him. I'm looking at Dak Prescott, his decision making, his throws. It's really, at times, it's frustrating to watch. Going on Twitter, guys who I follow who are what they call sensible Cowboys fans, very detail oriented. They like to look at film and diagnose this, that, and the other. And I'm the type that over time, I've done enough of that. And then I come to reality that regardless of what we diagnose this team to do and what they should have done here, or what's not happening, the truth of the matter is I still laid at the foot of the head coach. This team that you just faced had really no weapons, and they still managed to beat you doing something simple as running the football. You've drafted so many different players, you've acquired so many different free agents, and you still have problems stopping the run, which is number one in any defensive game plan, is to stop the run, and you haven't done that. The Cowboys as a whole have underachieved in big moments. That's just been the mark of them for decades alone. And in my opinion, it's very frustrating to sit and watch them on national TV with all the dignitaries that Jerry's invited to the stadium, and they spend all their time, you're watching the game, and the Cowboys end up down 31-3 before doing that exciting comeback that they always do. And then they fall short with something random, with an interception or a missed field goal or just something untimely just happens. They do that every time. It's entertainment at its finest. And as a diehard fan that I am, who've had my issues back and forth with them, I'm just at a point where I'm just numb to it. You know, it doesn't even bother me. It bothers me because I see a lot of people talk noise, but it's like every year it's the same stuff. So how do you get not tired of seeing the same junk? Like, do you have any aspirations for your team? But that's something I don't want to talk about. I'm just looking at going forward what I feel this organization is headed. They'll sit back and they'll try not to give any headlines. Jerry Jones reiterated that absolutely not. Stephen Jones, reiterated that Jason Garrett is absolutely not on the hot seat. However, they're evaluating, and they're not the type of team or the franchise to just drop off a dime, do something crazy. They're done with doing that. They take their sweet time diagnosing the differences and the points here of emphasis to make the franchise-altering decision, like getting rid of a head coach. So they're trying their best to not give any inclination whatsoever to anybody that they're going to move in another direction. But I already know and feel like it's just time. I love Garrett as a man. I love what he stands for. He's a very, very nice guy. He's done everything he can to stand behind his players. He's never given the players any reason not to trust him. They fight for him. They play hard for him. But you hire him to get you to the next level. And yes, everybody's expecting the Cowboys to win 10 or 11 games and get to the playoffs. I'm not at that point right now. I'm looking at how they measured up against the Saints team without Drew Brees and playing at home against a Green Bay Packers team that was missing their number one wide receiver. And you still lose, giving up 34 points. I don't get it, other than the fact that your head coach, in his head, has not figured out how to beat this one dude. He can't seem to beat him. And my thing is, you can take weapons from him, you can do all this stuff, but honestly, I look at Garrett and I've had his back for a while, but I'm coming to find out that his system in of itself over time has proven to be more about beating your team up front. And that's what football is generally all about. However, you have to not only do that, but you also have to be tactical, strategic, and relentless in your attack to actually dominate your opponent. And so many times he's played a conservative role, trying not to hurt his team, not to hurt themselves by being extra aggressive. Going forward, I look at this team and I'm just going to evaluate Garrett's decision making. They'll beat the Jets, but it won't be easy, of course, because any game in the NFL, it's never easy. But I remember how it was last year against Jacksonville. They went 2-3, and then they dominated Jacksonville, and then it went back and forth throughout the rest of the year before they won went 7-1, went Cooper. So yeah, they're going to do what they always do, but I'm looking at these kind of games and it's like, you better have in your mind set a form of attack no matter what goes wrong, because teams are going to be gunning for you because you're the Cowboys. Every year, teams get hyped to come play this team in their stadium, and the Cowboys themselves get sunk into the lights and don't have any true self-respect and when not being upstaged and beaten by an opponent that's less inferior. They play harder than you, and you're making untimely mistakes. And it's unfortunate. It really is. And I already know what's going on with Dak. You know, he is what he is. We've tried and tried, but I already can see where the rubber meets the road with him. The Cowboys love what he stands for. He's a hard worker. He earns his keep, but you're paying him to be the upper elite, the quarterback that changes a game with a throw. The quarterback changes a game with a run. His greatest weapon is running, and he doesn't use it. Until he learns how to use that and constantly use that to wear defenses out, he'll never ever rise to that level of respectability like they do for Russell Wilson, like they do for Carson Wentz, like they do for Pat Mahomes, for Aaron Rodgers, for Brady, all those. So I just want you guys to know that I'm just keeping my eyes open. I'll come back tomorrow. I'm gonna come back at some point and do the same thing again, and we'll have some more discussions about this. Appreciate you watching this. Hope you have a blessed one, and stay tuned for more. DC4L.
Time to live the truth.